I'm building a cabin off-grid in the high desert of Arizona. Soon I'm going to move into the cabin and I'll have a 10 by 10 kitchen in there. But for 5 years I've been living in a camper van and I love to cook, and I just have this tiny kitchen in there. So what I want to do now is build a kitchen in the back of the cabin here, and then there'll be a door there and it'll walk straight out to an outdoor kitchen here, and this will double the space of the kitchen I'm building for the cabin. Today's video is sponsored by FlexiSpot. They were nice enough to sponsor this aluminum louvered pergola kit. This kit was delivered on a 26-foot box truck, and they were kind enough to deliver it directly to my homestead. This louvered pergola kit is made out of aluminum. It's structural but fairly lightweight and won't rust. It comes with all the hardware and tools that you need to put it together, and a nice manual. It's pretty easy to construct and should take between 2 and 4 hours. It took me about 3 hours, but I wasn't in a rush. All of the parts are wrapped and packaged nicely and clearly marked, so it's easy to follow the directions. These base plates and corner supports are heavy aluminum that are powder coated. It requires a lot of screws to assemble, but way less than other designs. The first step is to attach the base plates to the bottom of the posts. Once the base plates were on, I stood the posts and then connected the posts with the beams. The screws for the beams are already in the posts. I loosened them and then tightened them into the correlating holes. You should try to build it right where it goes, on level ground, with help, but if you're all alone like I am and you're careful, you can figure out a way to get it in place. As I mentioned, I'm building a cabin right now, and I had a little trouble with the footings, so I wanted to line them up and make sure that they're exactly where they go. I'm not going to try to pull the wool over your eyes. I haven't completed this build yet. Most of those boards aren't even attached yet because I'm waiting for a hardware connector nail gun so I can nail all of the joist hangers. But I think this can kind of give you an idea of how I plan to set up in the future. Like my cabin build, I dug down 4 posts below the frost line and set asphalt treated timber in concrete. With the 4 corners secure, the next step was to add these little rubber gaskets in each corner that help direct the rain gutters to the corner posts so they can drain down below the deck. Once you've lined up all your gutters, you can just caulk these corners to make sure that there's no leakage, and that way, when your shutters are closed on the louvers, when it rains hard, it's not going to puddle up and fall on you in the middle of the pergola. It will drain to the corners and out through the bottom of the deck. The gutters are really easy to install. They just kind of slide into the end of the rubber gasket and sit on top of the posts all the way around the perimeter. The most crucial step to installing the louvers is paying attention to the motorized or mechanically, manual motorized louver and the louver in the center. Install those first, like in the instructions, and then the rest of them follow, and you can easily put one in after the other. Probably the most monotonous parts of this assembly is removing all of the plastic from all of the different components. And then, although they have way less screws than competitors, there are still a lot of screws, and it'll take you some time to assemble all of the louvers. I won't bore you to death watching me unwrap all of the louvers, but I do want to show you how well wrapped, a pair of them are, so you know what you're getting into. So they're shrink wrapped at the ends. I cut that out, unwrapped the entire pair, pulled out the foam that's between them, and then there's 2 pieces of plastic on each side so you don't get your powder coated paint scratch. That's the final piece. So that is how every pair of louvers is wrapped like this. And of course, every other piece, the posts and the beams and so on. And so I assembled the posts and beams and removed all the plastic then. And then the louvers, if you don't remove it all now, well, you're probably never going to be able to remove it. Once you get those first 2 louvers in place, and you have to be careful about how you install them, make sure you do it correctly. And the same with, the first louver. Pay extra attention that your louver matches the other louvers that are already in place. Make sure that they're correct. And then for every single louver there on out, make sure that it's matching the rest of them. And, it won't be too bad to get them all assembled. Once the louvers are in place, you'll only have 2 runners that are left to install. My dogs love to run back and forth with the horses, and I just happened to catch it on camera. Here's a look at the top after being assembled. Apparently these runners go on the inside, but my pergola opens and closes just fine. The center louver requires these nuts to be installed on both sides of the pergola. The first time I bolted all of the louvers down, I did it a little too tight, so I had to just back them off a couple turns, and now they work perfectly fine. FlexiSpot's S-shaped slot and pre-assembled design reduces screws by about 40%. Their design features level 12 wind resistance and 80 kilogram per square meter snow capacity. I can just imagine how nice it's going to be when I have a potluck and a little housewarming situation, I got a barbecue, a fire out here, some place for people to sit and relax and have a good time. I think that this pergola is going to get a lot of miles. I'm frugal, and it would be pretty easy to build a wooden pergola. Not necessarily cheap, but something I really like is these louvers at the top. How if it's really windy, I can open them up so it's not going to blow away in the wind. If it's really rainy, I can close them, and the rain will fall and move away to the edges and down the post rather than dripping through the shutters. And of course, having it fully shaded. A lot of pergolas, when you DIY them, they're not fully shaded. So having the ability to fully shade the entire area when the sun is at its highest, and it shades a large part of the pond as well. I plan to build a Russian stove inside my cabin, and I think an outdoor oven, another stone fireplace will be really nice out by the pergola. Even if you count the entire enclosed space of my cabin, it's only about 500 square feet. So having an additional 130 square feet underneath the pergola for people to gather, to sit, to extend the kitchen space so I can easily prepare Thanksgiving dinner and other things like that. I think it's just a really nice addition to my homestead. I love my solitude, and even in the absence of entertaining other people or using this space as a kitchen, just being able to kick back and watch the fire burn right there and look over the high desert out in the middle of nowhere is going to be really enjoyable for me. FlexiSpot offers sunshade cloths, so you could enclose the ends of the pergola, or you can get the motorized version. Right here from my bedroom window, you'll be able to see down into the outdoor kitchen and out into the pond. The pond's only half full, but you'll be able to see water when it's full, and I'll have a nice little dock that goes out to the pond. I put a large fire pit ring over here. For now, there's a swing on there, and I plan to build a chimney and a Russian stove in the cabin here with stone. I think I'm also going to build a stone fireplace outside with a pizza firing stove. I can move my smoker and barbecue over there. It'll have room for people to sit down. It'll give me more room for cooking and entertaining people. And, well, there's just a lot of reasons that this pergola will turn out just fine for my homestead. And while I don't live in the city, I do plan to landscape around my cabin, the pergola, and the pond, and just make everything look as nice as possible, at least in the immediate area that I'm living in. It has hardly rained in over a year now, but soon will be monsoon season, and this pond will probably be brimful again, and I'll be able to hang my feet off of the dock and relax. The pergola is weather resistant due to its 100% aluminum and powder coated build. By building very solid footings and then attaching the pergola with large lag screws, my pergola is not going to go anywhere. Subscribe, and if you want to learn more about FlexiSpot, check out the links below where you can get access to one of these pergolas for your home or homestead. And I'll catch you guys on my next videos.